Hi everybody, welcome to a new edition of Let's Talk About Education with Antonio Corrales. We have talked in this show before about different educational programs and different initiatives that we have in the school settings in pre-K-12 and higher ed. And today we're going to have the honor to have Chenda Moore, future Dr. Chenda Moore. And she's going to tell us a little bit about her career. She's going to talk to us a little bit about the role of school counselors and the impact that school counselors may have on students. And she's also going to tell us a little bit about her passion, her research, and so we're really excited. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Dr. Corrales.
Absolutely, absolutely. Why don't we start by letting the audience kind of know a little bit about yourself and how do you get to where you are in your career?
Well, I started my career 24 years ago, so I'm in my 24th year in education.
Okay.
I started as a teacher. And then while I was in the classroom and realizing that I could make more of an impact with students, and because as a teacher, I didn't have as much time in terms of individual time with students as I wanted. And so while I was teaching, I went back to night school and earned my master's degree in school counseling. Then I became a school counselor, and that's what I've been doing for the last 20 years. It's my passion. I love it. Kids are my passion, and so never looked back, because this is what I'm going to do the rest of my career. Is
that was your passion,
school counseling. And so I have transitioned the last a few years to being an administrator, in which I get to support professional school counselors at an administrative level. The one thing I miss being at the administration building is the day-to-day with kids. So when I get a chance to get on the campus, I say yes. Even if I get to read to students, or even if I get to counsel or help a counselor counsel students, that's what I love.
Do you love it? What about, you know, the during the past years, especially with the different traumas that our school system has experienced through the shootings and also drug abuse and all that stuff. The role of school counselor has become a little more relevant in the public opinion in terms of the number of school counselors that we have, the ratio of school counselors per student. So, so that's kind of how come to the discussion. I don't see politicians taking too much action on that, but at least people are talking about it again. Well, the first question, I want to know a little bit, what is your take on the role that school counselors play on students' life, considering the realities of our school system, right? And then the second part of the question is your take on the conditions that the school counselor has to face in terms of number of students and their jobs.
Sure. School counselors play a critical role in the mental and social support of our students. And so my role in administration is to assist with programming so that school counselors have opportunities to provide individual group counseling sessions, classroom guidance lessons, because like you said, our role has evolved from, the beginning of time when we were called guidance or vocational counselors, but now we have transitioned to professional school counselors, where in addition to career, academic, we are providing emotional, social support as well. So the role has really evolved more into mental health. And through our master's counseling program, we learn a lot of techniques and theories to help, but when we are placed into that role, there's a lot more paperwork
exactly
that has to be done. And leading to your question about ratio, our ratios are high.
Exactly.
And so if we were to go by our national association's recommendation, which is the American School Counselor Association, that's 250 to 1. Our state association is 350 to 1. I can tell you that's not the case in most of our schools and districts.
It seems so difficult because if you think about just having this if you have 8 hours a day, all right, and you want to spend, I don't know, 20 minutes with a student, mathematically it's almost impossible to cover all the students in
right.
a certain amount of time, and plus doing all the paperwork that you guys have to do. So I don't know, I just feel like sometimes we wanna talk in this country about the mental health issue, and I'm totally okay with tackling that issue, but there's no better way to start in the schools, and we're still having those high rates.
And that's where, I believe in it takes a village to educate a child. So I'm all about collaboration with the community, and so a couple of things I've been able to do since I've come into administration is develop some partnerships with our agencies. So in my district, my counselors have the opportunity to refer students to a couple of our agency partners. They have grants and they have support so that students and families can receive counseling for free.
Interesting.
And so awesome. Because we have the partnership with the agencies and they're vetted, meaning they're fingerprinted, they're approved, they're safe individuals to come onto the campus, instead of parents checking their students out of school for half a day or however many hours and then bringing them back or never bringing them back to school, which affects attendance. Because a student needs to be in school to learn. And so since these partnerships, a therapist from an agency, all of this is done with parent approval, we've got the forms and everything in place. And so the therapist can come onto the campus for 30 minutes, for example, meet with the student in a designated safe location on the campus, therapist leaves, student goes back to class. Doesn't affect attendance.
That's amazing.
And so that's one of the things that I've been working on to help the counselors, because like you said, they have so much to do that in, let's say for high school, in a 7 to 2:30 environment, you can't connect with every student. And for students who have some mental illnesses that we cannot truly tackle, that's where we have our agency partners help us.
Absolutely.
Who can provide long-term therapy.
Long-term. Now, what do you do to battle the system? Since you're in charge of a counseling program in a district, how do you do to battle the system in terms of the other duties that school counselors are assigned?
Oh, that's a good question.
Because the reality is, like, for example, if we start in elementary, sometimes they're almost want them to act as assistant principals in terms of disciplinary action, and that breaks the relationship of a therapist and a patient. And then in the high school, what I see it's not only in Texas, it happens all over the nation. You see counselors basically working on paperwork and scheduling and any of those duties that had nothing to do with counseling. How do you manage that?
It's a balance, and then this is where advocacy comes in. And so what I have tried to educate my counselors to do is to advocate for their time. And as we know, data speaks. And one way to do that is to really collect data on the needs of the students so they can advocate their time with their principal. Because their principal is the one who pretty much will dictate what they will be doing in terms of their duties. And so that's what I'm trying to educate my counselors to do, is advocate for your time. I will advocate for you from my level, but you need to advocate for your time on your campus. And I have more and more counselors who are standing up and saying, look, principal, I need time with students, and these are the issues that I'm seeing with our students. Please allow me that time.
Right. Almost like a negotiation in there.
Right, and then on the other note is you have to have this growth mindset. So for example, if a principal says lunch duty, well, lunchtime is a prime time to see kids in their environment and really make some observations. So I
collect data too.
Yes, so I have counselors who have this positive mindset about lunch duty. So what they do during that lunch duty time is they're visible, in the cafeteria or wherever they're assigned, but their main objective is to observe students, is to allow students to come to them and ask questions, and they're not missing class. So you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's a mind shift.
Yeah.
Whereas I have other folks who may think, oh, it's such a chore. Why do I have to stand here?
Yeah, and that's to do with my job or whatever.
Exactly. But
that's interesting.
You get to be with the kids. It's a mind shift. It's how you view what it is that you have to do.
And it's a way to maximize your time when you have such a high number of students.
Exactly.
You know, so that's
exactly. You go to them because it's hard to pull them out.
Yeah.
Because academics, as you know, is number one.
Yeah.
Student achievement.
Absolutely. Otherwise, I mean, honestly, if you don't perform, you're not serving the main purpose of and you get shut down by this day. So,
exactly. Yeah, we've learned that in strategic planning.
We learned that in strategic planning. What about for our viewers? You know, we may have young people looking at us right now, or we may have school counselors looking at us right now that see you as a role model. What does a regular day in your job look like?
Well, when I was on the campus, there was no one day that was the same. I could walk into the building because I'm a planner, you know, I have my calendar, I have my list of things I'd like to accomplish that day. There are days I accomplish nothing on that list because there's crises that could happen. You never know what's going to happen. So when there is a student crisis or a staff crisis, you drop everything. And you go handle that. So as a counselor, you have to be very flexible. So there's really no 2 days that is exactly the same, no matter how hard you try to make it the same, because you never know what student is going to walk in, or what parent is going to walk into your office, or what type of situation you're going to encounter that day. In a way, it's exciting, but at the same time, you're like, wish I could finish what I planned.
Exactly.
But that's okay. That's part of why we do what we do in education is we're here to serve. And that's serving the needs of students.
And what about your role as a central office administrator, though? Is it also as active as before, or a little more? You had to put so many.
Yes, I still have my list, but I promise you, I never get my list done on any day. It depends on the phone call I get.
Those fires that you had to put out.
The fires I put out and the calls I get, you know, from the campus. It might be that I just stop everything and go to the campus and support, whether it's a teacher who's in crisis or a student who's in crisis, and the counselor says, I need you. Okay. Or principal says, Chenda, I need you. Okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's part of my role, to serve as a support.
Support, awesome. Yes. That's fantastic. What about the most challenging part of your job?
I wish I could do more. There's
always the limited time of the day.
Yes, there's always more to do.
Exactly.
I think going back to your ratio, even I've met some counselors in other states who have the low, student to counselor ratio. They still say, I wish I had more time with students. So I'm really not sure what the perfect ratio is. We always want to do more. So the challenge is, what can we do with what we have creatively?
Absolutely.
To get the job done and to meet the needs of students.
That's fantastic. I like it. What about the parts that you enjoy the most? The most fun part of your job?
To work with people.
Yeah, interact with people.
Yes.
As a counselor, you like that a lot.
Because that's why we do what we do.
Is it easier to work with students than with adults?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Adults get more complicated.
Adults come with their own slew of issues that maybe they dealt with or never dealt with, and you kind of have to get through all of the layers.
Yes.
Whereas students, they come to you with that, and you can just go with it.
Yeah. That's
they haven't lived as long.
That's
to create so many walls.
That's true. Yeah. That's interesting. Okay, so let's talk about this part. This part is fun, and I have it here, so I wanna mention it for our viewers. Chenda, she wrote a book. It's called "He Knows the Plan: A Story of Survival and Resilience," and this is the book. I'm gonna read it. I'm honored that she gave me a copy, and I wanted to talk a little bit about the book. and also about your passion. You know, we had to do with your research on the doctoral program.
Yes.
But let's start a little bit about the book, because I think a lot of viewers will be interested in it. In summary,
Yes.
tell us a little bit about the book. Because I know it seems like a really, really interesting story. I wasn't aware of the different aspect of the story, and I'm really, really interested. So I'm sure that a lot of people will be interested.
Well, this is a very simple book.
Okay.
So I will tell you that up front. It's not an academic book. A young person can read it. It's not graphic.
Okay.
Even though the story itself and the life that I lived within it was very hard.
Yeah.
But I hope I wrote it in such a way that it instills hope in people.
That's awesome.
That people can move beyond their circumstances. That's really my goal here. When I put the subtitle as a story of survival and resilience, it's that sense of, we can push through the hard times. We can make it to the other side. And I hope I can instill that with people. So this book is about the first 18 years of my life. It's about surviving the killing fields of Cambodia. It's about getting out of Cambodia and then coming to America, growing up in America as a refugee, learning the language, and surviving. Because we came to this country with absolutely nothing. Because when we were in the camps, everything was taken away. Our clothes, our identity, our haircut. In Cambodia, women prized long, dark hair.
They cut it off.
Cut it off.
Just kind of strip you of everything that give you pride.
Yes, they strip you of it all.
Yeah.
So we were in that atmosphere for almost 4 years.
Wow.
And so.
And in the interesting part, we were talking before the interview, guys, that you don't know you're really and truly biological age, because at that time your mom passed away, right?
Yes.
When you were in the camp.
Yes, my mother passed away in 1978 after the birth of my second sister. My first sister, I'm the oldest of all children. And so my first sister died during the trek out of Phnom Penh, which is the capital of Cambodia, where we were born.
Okay.
And that was the last stand, the last city to be taken on April 17th, 1975.
Wow.
And so when the Khmer Rouge soldiers came into the capital, that was the end of it all. Because they had been, taking over smaller villages and cities, and we heard about it, but we didn't believe it. Then it happened, April 17th, 1975. And New Year's weekend, Cambodia's New Year weekend is around that time every year.
Wow.
And so my mother died, my second sister died at childbirth. Malnutrition, starvation, lack of medical attention. And my father told me that my mother died probably about a month after. And he wasn't around because he was sent to another camps. When you're sent to, during the trek, they would separate men, women, families into different camps based on your age. Yeah.
They had, as if they were robots or machines.
Pretty much.
Wow.
And so, praise God, I survived and made it through. But in the book, I talk about my encounter with my father, because I was with my mother even when he was in another camp. After my mother died, I was placed in an orphanage. And so by the time my father was allowed to come visit us, we were all gone. He didn't know where I went. He had heard from the people within that camp that my mother had died, so he knew that. He doesn't know. We don't know where she's buried. If she's buried. She's one of the skulls. 1.7 million skulls that have been found over the years in the ditches, because that's what they did with the bodies.
Oh my goodness. And
so Cambodia, there's museums out in Cambodia. I haven't gone back yet.
You haven't gone back yet?
I left in 1981. Well, I left in 79 after the South Vietnamese soldiers came and pushed the Khmer Rouge soldiers back into the forest and told us, "You're free.
Yeah.
Go do whatever." after almost 4 years of being told what to do, when to eat, when to sleep, when to work, like, what do I do now?
Yeah, exactly.
So people just kind of dispersed.
It was like getting free from slavery, almost.
Yes. So, like, what do? You're in this middle of this field, wherever you were taken, trying to figure out where you were. Because if you run, you die.
Yeah.
And if people accuse you of something, you die.
Yeah.
And so we made it to Thailand and to an American Red Cross camp. So my aunt and I stayed there for almost 2 years until we were sponsored to America in '81, September, to Belen, New Mexico, near Albuquerque. But I grew up most of my young years in California. And, because like I said, we came to America with nothing. We had to start from the ground up with support. And my aunt, I always say, she's achieved the American dream, because now she owns her own hair salon. So my aunt is a hairstylist. Yes, she's
amazing.
Achieved the American
dream
made
it,
with little education, and she still speaks with
awesome,
a very thick accent. But
she's the owner, man. She
is the owner of her own hair salon.
That is awesome.
And this is a lady that when we first came to America, she learned how to sew. So she became a seamstress. She was taught how to sew, and I remember growing up, even in high school, helping her to sew pieces. That's how we made money. Was, sew pieces and gave it back to the factory. What an
amazing story. Of course, we terrific, horrible circumstances, but what a journey for an immigrant, and I'm definitely gonna read the book, and I definitely recommend this book to anybody there out there. What an amazing story. But let's jump it out now to your passion and your research, because you're doing a doctorate, future Dr. Chenda Moore, and I want us to talk a little bit about your research and how you're connecting your life and your purpose with what you're doing right now in the doctoral program.
And so my research will focus on graduate students. But the passion is to determine the factors that help or hinder a student to complete their program of study. So what is it that makes an individual follow through and get to the finish line? So some factors I will be looking at: faculty support, like you. Is the person or groups of people receiving that support? Are there programs, cohort, like I am right now? I get tremendous support from my cohort members. I mean, we stay in touch, we encourage each other like a family, and so family support, friend support, and so those are some of the factors I'm looking at. And that's my passion, is really, what is it that makes a person continue to persist? What is that grit that keeps them moving forward? Because that's me. That's who I am. Even through the midst of stuff of life, I'm going to continue to push forward.
That's awesome.
And so that's what I want to instill in people and in students specifically, is no matter the circumstances you're in right now, you can achieve whatever it is you want to achieve. And so I think that's why a doctoral degree has been on my bucket list, and now that even I'm in my later 40s, I'm still pursuing, because it's in me to want this.
Absolutely.
And so because I want this, I'm gonna keep pushing forward and toward and strive toward achieving that.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, Chenda, I want to thank you one more time for being with us today. Viewers, again, recommend the book. Please buy it. He Knows the Plan, A Story of Survival and Resilience, from Chenda Tom. And
through lulu.com. Lulu.com.
Lulu.com.
Lulu.
That's where they can buy it? Okay.
Lulu.com.
Okay.
Or Amazon.
Or Amazon, or whatever you wear. Or
I prefer Lulu.
Yeah, Lulu's better, but if you can buy it from Lulu, awesome. If not, you can buy it anywhere, but just buy it. And so you can learn about her story. And I want to thank our viewers one more time for being with us today. remember to look for this video and many others in Antonio Corrales' YouTube channel. Let's talk about education with Antonio Corrales and Sterling Evaluation and Assessment.com. Please help somebody today and see you next time.
All right. Thank you.